There's a kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with sleep. It's the exhaustion of managing, of being the one who holds the emotional temperature of every room you're in, of the heart that learned that its job was not to feel freely, but to feel useful. Today, let's discuss what happens when that heart finally gets some room. Not because you decided to feel, but because you learned what it was you were guarding. Welcome to Patterns to Purpose. Wherever you are right now, in your bed, on the couch, in a quiet room with the door closed, I want you to know that for the next few minutes, you don't have to be anyone. Not the mother, not the spouse, not the woman who holds it all together. Just you. Let's take a nice cleansing breath together. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. At some point in your life, probably quite early, your heart made a very wise decision. It decided to get itself under control. Maybe your feelings made the people around you uncomfortable, or maybe the home you grew up in had no room for big emotions. So you learned to keep yours small. Or maybe there was simply never time. Children to be fed, jobs to keep, people who needed you to be okay. So you tucked it away neatly in the way you do everything and kept moving. The heart learned to manage, and managing was not a weakness. Managing was wisdom. Managing got you here. When the heart learns to contain, it contains everything. Not only the grief, the anger, and the fear, but also the joy and the delight, the simple pleasure of being fully alive in the moment. When we dam a river, we don't get to choose which water flows and which water stays. I suspect you already know this. You probably can weep during a children's movie and stand dry-eyed at a funeral. You've been noticing that for years, and the noticing hasn't given you your feelings back yet, right? That's not failure. Noticing opens the door, but it doesn't walk you through it. Here are two sentences. This is what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm feeling. Two very different things, and they almost never arrive separately. Your daughter doesn't call when she said she would, so the feeling is a small drop in the chest. But the thinking is everything that rushes in to explain it. Emotions are signals, they are not directives. A signal tells you something is here, a directive tells you what to do about it. Now, say those sentences apart from one another, and you'll find that space opens. That space isn't a technique, that space is the whole thing. There's a difference between being flooded by emotion and being informed by it. Most of us are quietly afraid of the flood. But what happens when the belief underneath is finally named? The dam didn't break. It's one gate opened on purpose. And what comes through is not chaos, it's information. The sadness isn't a sign you're falling apart. It's a message the heart's been trying to deliver for years. The anger isn't dangerous. It's pointing precisely at a boundary that matters. So, if the heart knows how to feel, and it does, why doesn't it simply start? You've given it permission. And still, when the feeling should arrive, something steps in front of it. That containing was never a habit you could just interrupt. It was a post that you've been standing guard at faithfully for 40 years. Picture her, a woman standing guard at the door of your heart, deciding what comes through and what waits outside. She was stationed there for a reason, and no one ever told her the reason was over. So she stays. She isn't stubborn, she's loyal. She will not stand down because you instructed her to. She will only leave her post when she learns what she was guarding and that the threat is over. Something in you registered a danger long ago and never got word that it passed. And a danger that you can't name is one you have to keep watching for. That's not fragility, that's intelligence, working with incomplete information. So you go down and you find the belief underneath. In the patterns to purpose method, there is a way of asking that goes beneath the first answer. It's not interrogation, but structured curiosity, which follows a thread until you arrive at the truth. That awareness creates space, and the inquiry creates clarity. And managing was not weakness. Managing was wisdom. Managing got you here, and it got me here too. When I got cancer, I handled it. I went to my treatments alone, 6 surgeries. I took earned time for exactly those days, and I went back to work. And when anyone asked, I said it was nothing serious. I said it so well that the people closest to me believed me. It took 6 years for me to hear what I was actually doing, making myself smaller so I would not be a burden, making it smaller so nobody would decide I was weak, making it smaller so nobody else would have to carry it. That was never about being sick. That pattern had been running most of my life. Those 6 years just turned the volume up so I could finally hear it. 3 answers, and every single one of them was about somebody else. So I stayed with it. I went underneath that, and I didn't like what I found, but I kept going anyway. And when the last one of it came, it stopped being about cancer and started being about me. I learned that I am worth keeping for as long as I didn't cost anything to anyone. And that the day I needed something, I would become too much. That was my root truth. Notice what it didn't feel like. No collapse, nothing cinematic. It felt like recognition, something I had been carrying a long time and never once said it out loud. Our root truth is a recognition, not a condemnation. That sentence was accurate once, a long way back, when I was too young to argue with it. I simply gone on living as though it still were. I was never broken. I was patterned. Now, here's where I'm going to stop tonight. And not because the thread ends here, but because What a woman does next once she is holding a sentence like that is not work you do alone or when you're in a hurry with the engine still running. That is where I sit down with a woman when there's time and quiet and someone who won't let her take the easy exit and won't push her past what she's ready to see. Here is what naming the truth did. It didn't make me a woman who asked for help easily. It didn't remove the pattern. Didn't it did remove its authority because now there was a sentence I could hold up against my actual life and measure it. Is that truth here in this house with these people? No, it was true a long time ago. And that woman guarding the door heard that too. And not because I instructed her, because she finally learned that what she'd been guarding and that it was over now. I want to talk about grief, the feeling we are most afraid of and one that needs the most to move. Many of us are carrying grief that has been waiting for years or even decades, not only for the people we've lost, grief of dreams that didn't come to pass, or for the version of your life you thought you were going to have, for the younger self who deserved far more gentleness than she got. That grief has been patient, tucked neatly away in the part of you that knows how to manage. The name I use for what it accumulates into is emotional debt. Every feeling you didn't have time for went into an account. And some of that account was never yours. It came down to you like good china, maybe from a parent who had no room to feel either. Debt like that compounds, and it doesn't get forgiven. It gets repaid in small amounts in the present by feeling now what there was no room to feel then. That is not a crisis, it's a completion. Grief that moves is grief that is healing. Grief that stays frozen is grief that is waiting. That is what grief does when it finally moves. It completes itself. And in completing itself, it makes room. And in that room that grief makes, something else begins to surface. Joy. Not the performed joy of keeping up appearances, not the hollow brightness of being fine. Something quieter and far more real. Something that arrives while you're folding the laundry or standing in your kitchen at 6 in the morning before anyone needs anything from you. I know that for many of you, joy like that feels like it belongs to a different life, a different woman, a different time. But it doesn't wait until everything is resolved. Joy surfaces in the spaces, and as more spaces form, it finds more places to arrive in your life. Emotional range expands, not only the difficult end of it, but all of it. The tenderness, the wonder, the particular pleasure of being with another person without the glass of management between you. And it doesn't make you more fragile, it makes you more resilient. What you feel fully moves through you instead of accumulating. A heart that can feel everything is not a weak heart, it's a strong one. Your heart is not broken. It's been doing exactly what it needed to do to get you right here. Managing, containing, holding, all of it was wisdom at that time in your life. And Now there's a new life available to you where the management can ease and your emotional body becomes gradually and gently a place you can actually live in. You don't have to force it. You only have to keep naming what you see and then be willing to go underneath it. The first naming tells you what's happening. The second one changes the terms. And if that's more than you can begin today, well, begin here. The next time a feeling arrives and you reach for the thing that needs doing, do it. But say one sentence first, silently, to nobody. This is what I'm feeling. That's where the room comes from, one signal at a time. And trust that your heart knows what to do next. It always did. It was only waiting to find out that the danger has passed. May your heart find a little more room today than it had yesterday. May the grief that has been waiting find its way through. May the one who has stood watch over your heart learn that what she's guarded is over. May joy arrive where it wasn't expected in the ordinary and quiet moments. May you feel more of everything, not because it's easy, but because you're finally strong enough to let it move through you. You are not too much. You never were. You are not broken. You are patterned. You are exactly as feeling as you are always meant to be. Rest well tonight, and I'll see you in the next episode. Love, Tammy.